Very good morning. So I bring you greetings from the Holy River Ganges. At the outset, I am thankful to the organizing team for inviting me here. Well, my topic is pediatrician's role in caring for late preterm and early term neonates. In next 15 minutes, I will discuss briefly on these issues, the definitions of late preterm and early term, how big is the problem, health problems these babies face, general principles of management. I will not go to the specifics, and how to prevent this avoidable cause of morbidity and mortality. Okay, so starting with the late preterm definition, it's defined as the gestational age when the baby is born between 34 weeks 0 days and 36 weeks 6 days. Earlier, these babies were known as near term or borderline term. So what was the problem with that usage? If you call them near term, it gives you a feeling that these babies are almost mature and they are big in size, so we feel that they are good enough to have a normal postnatal behavior. But if you look at, they are born before time. The average time of delivery is 40 weeks. So they are still in a critical phase of development and they are vulnerable to many issues. So when we use the term near term, it implied maturity, and we thought that they had a similar risk of morbidity and mortality as term newborns. However, now we know that these babies, late preterm babies, are immature physiologically and metabolically, and they have higher risk of morbidity and mortality compared to term infants. So the change in terminology is important to focus attention on these vulnerable newborns. Similarly, the term pregnancy, we know it, the range is from 37 weeks 0 days to 41 weeks 6 days. And earlier it was thought, appreciated, that is a homogeneous group. So this is a pretty long 5-week interval. A lot of things can happen. And still, if 37, 38 weeks, these babies are growing. Not only lungs, but brain-wise, thermoregulatory system. So many other things are happening. So the term pregnancy has been now defined as early term refers to 37 and 38 weeks. Full term means 39 to 40 weeks. And late term is 41 week 0 days to 41 week 6 days. Okay. So let's see the morbidity rate, overall morbidity rate. Starting from 38 weeks downwards, at each, the loss of week, at 37 weeks is 6%, at 36 weeks doubles 12%, and at 34 weeks 50%. So for each week below 38 weeks, the morbidity rate doubles. This shows the overall burden of the preterm birth, particularly the late preterms. So that constitutes nearly 72% of all the preterms. This is the very preterm, around 10%. Extremely preterm is around 6 to 7%. And moderately preterm is around 12.9%. Now this shows the rising trend of late preterm babies. From 1990 to 2006, it has shown steady increase. And this increase is most obvious at 36 weeks of gestation. At 34 weeks, it has remained almost static. At 35 weeks, there is a marginal rise. Now there is data available that after 2007, the rate of late preterms, the rate has now become plateaued. There is no further rise. This shows the relationship of maternal age and the late preterm birth. At both extremes of age, less than 20 years or more than 40 years, there is a higher rate of late preterm birth compared to the usual age. Again, one of the reasons for the rising epidemic of this avoidable birth is increasing rates of induced delivery and increasing rates of cesarean section. Now it's standing somewhere around 30 to 33%. So if the delivery is induced before term, most of these babies are delivered by cesarean section, and that contributes to the problems. So to summarize the etiology of late preterm and early term births, the factors are increasing maternal age and young age below 20 years, fertility treatment, which gives rise to multiple births, rising rate of cesarean section, increasing maternal obesity, other maternal comorbid conditions, they contribute to early preterm. There are many non-medical regions. There are commercial regions. Sometimes the families choose to deliver early. And at times there is inaccurate gestational age assessment. Sometimes for 2 to 4 weeks. So we may think that maybe the obstetrician delivery may be at 40 weeks, but it may be a late preterm at 36 weeks. So what are the risks of late preterm and early term births? I have collect the morbidities together, knowing fully well that late preterms will have much more morbidity compared to early term babies. Overall, these babies have higher rates of NICU admission. Respiratory morbidity is a major issue in these babies. So they can have transient tachypnea, RDS, apnea, respiratory failure, which may necessitate ventilator use or surfactant use. They are vulnerable to hypothermia, hypoglycemia. Hypertension is a major issue. The enzyme system is not yet fully matured in these babies. They have a lot of feeding difficulties. So they may look big in size, but their intake is less. They are not that much vigorous compared to babies who are 39 to 40 weeks. So some people call them impostor babies, or they are kind of pretenders. They appear to be taking the breast milk, but their intake is less than what is needed. They have a higher rate of infection because of their immunological immaturity. Their brain is not yet mature. The very rapid growth of brain takes place between 34 and 40 weeks of gestation. And because they have come early, so that they miss that critical phase of development, which should have happened in utero. They have, because of morbidities, longer hospital stay, increased hospital costs, they have higher rates of hospital admission, and they have higher neonatal and infant mortality rates. This shows the respiratory morbidity, the adjusted odds ratios. So taking 39-40 weeks as a reference point, for each week below this 39-40 weeks, there are higher rates of RDS, TTM, pneumonia, respiratory failure, use of surfactant, ventilation, and oxygen. Well, each week of gestation matters. Even in the late preterm, 34 to 36 weeks, the problems are much more at 34 weeks compared to 36 weeks. Higher rates of admission. Similarly, increased rates of respiratory distress, sepsis, and PDA. Earlier the babies delivered. This shows the morbidity in late preterm in comparison to the term babies. So temperature instability, hypoglycemia, intravenous infusions for whatever reason, respiratory distress, jaundice is much more in late preterms. The mortality rate is higher in babies. If you take reference as 39 or 40 weeks, at each lower gestational age, the neonatal mortality is higher. Not only neonatal mortality, they remain vulnerable to high mortality during infancy. Look at this. 11.8 at 34 weeks per 1,000 live births. At 37 weeks, 5.7. So they remain more vulnerable to morbidity and mortality, not only during neonatal period, but throughout infancy, and even subsequently to some of the problems. They have a higher rate of infection, and their innate immunity is not well developed. So we looked at the genes which control the immunity of the human beings. So we looked at, the genes, there are close to 1,500 genes which are involved, which orchestrate the entire immunological apparatus of these babies. And what we found was quite interesting. The first 8 columns shows the low birth weight babies. The next 4 columns are normal birth weight babies. This is a so-called heat map. The heat map, so the green, it means these genes are down-regulated. Red means they are normally to better expressed. Now look at the low birth weight babies. The predominant pattern is green. So the most of the genes which regulate immune responses are underexpressed. They are down-regulated in low birth weight. We included only term low birth weight newborns. We did not include preterm babies in our study. On the other hand, in normal birth weight babies, you will find predominantly the genes are better expressed. This situation is similar to what you find in UGT1 gene, neonatal jaundice. The activity of UGT1 gene is only 1% at birth compared to what you find in adults. And over a period of 6 to 8 weeks or 10 weeks, this activity improves. So it seems that the poor immunity of newborn babies is developmentally regulated, and it takes time for the immune system to recover or to fully express. And this may be the reason for their increased vulnerability to infections in these babies. We also looked at the neutrophil functions. We said, okay, neutrophils are not fully mature, they are not fully functional. So we looked at this particular netosis, that is neutrophil extracellular trap formation. This is a very interesting novel mechanism used by neutrophils to get rid of circulating microbes. Let's see how it works. This small animation to make you understand. Yeah, excuse me. So these are the neutrophils. Now there is a bacteremia. So bacteria come into circulation. So what happens? The neutrophils will rupture their membrane and their chromatin will be released. So, and along with this is antimicrobial peptides and granules. So these bacteria are literally, physically entrapped in this chromatin, extracellular chromatin, and they are destroyed. So this is how the normal person, a normal baby, if the neutrophils are functioning normally, they will get rid of infection. So this is, so the neutrophil will die in order to contain that bacteremia. So this is a kind of beneficial. The cell will commit suicide, but it's a beneficial suicide. I would say the kind of martyrdom. So to make the organism survive, the individual neutrophils will kill themselves in order to control bacteremia. And this is a very interesting slide. I would like to have your attention. These are the neutrophils for low birth weight babies, and these are normal birth weight babies. They are uninduced, they look normal. Now if you induce these neutrophils with various ligands, you see low birth weight, there are highly, this red material is extracellular chromatin, which the cells will release in response to the ligands or stimulation. Another picture, and this is scanning electron microscope. Now you see in a normal birth weight baby, the neutrophils have released this chromatin like anything. It's like a hangman. That chromatin will literally capture the surrounding bacteria, but not in case of low birth weight newborn babies. So there are inherent problems in the functioning of neutrophils. We have further looked at the signaling pathway which controls this netosis, and we found that this MIT88, this pathway is defective. This is a pathway, very important intracellular signaling pathway which controls netosis. And this is immature in low birth weight babies. So overall, these, the results or data indicate that they have inherent vulnerability to infection. So the management of late preterm and term infants, one of the important things when the baby is delivered is close monitoring, because these babies can have temperature problem, respiratory issues, feeding difficulties. The focus of care is to be individualized depending on the specific medical problem. And of course, we need to consult the parents about the possible morbidities, admission to NICU, readmission, prolonged hospitalization, and all the problems. So, in the delivery room, we manage them like any other baby, following the latest NRP guidelines. They are vulnerable to hypothermia, they maintain temperature. Respiratory distress is important. Immediate morbidity in these babies, so they need close monitoring either in the SNCU or nursery or NICU, depending on your setup and the resources available. And depending on the degree of respiratory morbidity, they may require CPAP, surfactant, ventilation, oscillation, whatever it is. They have a lot of feeding difficulties. They look bigger, but they are not able to feed successfully. So they can develop hypoglycemia. They can have excessive weight loss. So we need to pay close attention to their feeding. Of course, we start with breastfeeding, and if we feel that baby is not taking enough, then you have to give express breast milk with EBM. Hyperbilirubinemia is a major issue. They are born before time. Their enzyme activity is not optimal. They have more of underfeeding, more weight loss. So all the risk factors conspire together to higher risk of hyperbil. And this is also one of the reasons for rehospitalization. And I've already mentioned they have increased risk of sepsis. So these babies may require admission to the hospital for hyperbill, poor feeding, excessive weight loss, for suspected sepsis, sometimes even hypernatremia. This happens. That mother, especially the primary care, the mother, who's she wants to breastfeed the baby, exclusive breastfeeding, but somehow she is not able to appreciate that baby is taking less or she is producing less. So baby may have excessive weight loss. And by 7 to 10 days, baby may present with lethargy, and if you do serum sodium, it may be high. So this hyponatremia is well-known complication, especially in the primary care mothers, when the mother is exclusively breastfeeding. For some reason, the breastfeeding is not going on optimal, so baby is getting less and less. Long-term management is important, and so we need to educate the mothers and families that these babies can have long-term developmental complications. And early intervention and developmental services may be indicated if the baby is having problems. This shows the morbidity, the long-term neurological morbidity. So compared to term babies, the babies at late preterm have higher risk of cerebral palsy, mental retardation, other mental health problems, and disabilities. Now coming to the prevention. There are few cases of late preterm or early term who cannot be prevented because there are maternal regions or fetal regions, so then babies are getting delivered. But for non-medically indicated, that the one big chunk where we can make a big difference. So in US, over the years, the last 5-6 years, they have found that the late preterm births are declining. But early term births are still continuing to increase. Many people, obstetricians, even pediatricians and family members feel that if the mother has crossed 37 weeks, so baby is good health. Now the fetus is well matured and she can deliver. But it's not the case. The normal gestation for the human pregnancy is 40 weeks. So if you deliver at 37 weeks, the baby has missed 3 weeks of in utero development. And there is no comparison between in utero friendly environment to ex utero hostile and challenging environment. So baby has to face many risks outside. So we need policy changes to prevent this early birth. So what are these policy changes? People have used different kind of policies. The one is hard stop policy. That hospital passes a kind of administrative order. No baby can be delivered early unless it is medically indicated for maternal or offset or for the fetal region. Simple. The other is soft stop policy, where obstetrician agrees not to perform non-medically indicated C-section or induction of labor before 39 weeks. And the third one is educational program. We educate the obstetricians, the pediatricians, and the family members that it's bad if the baby is brought early. All three approaches are effective, but it has been found that hard stop policy is the most effective method. This works. So passing an administrative order, where here the prerequisite, it should not be medically indicated. If that the obstetrical region, maternal region, or fetal region for early delivery, then you have to go for early delivery. It's only for non-medically indicated early births. One thing I would like to emphasize that many people feel that okay, if the fetal lungs are mature, so that means baby should be delivered. No, this is not the case. Documentation of fetal lung maturity does not justify early non-medically indicated delivery unless there are other maternal or fetal regions. It's sure that the LS ratio may be mature, but baby can still have respiratory morbidity. Other organs like brain and other things are still growing. So the mature LS ratio does not indicate that okay, you can deliver the baby at 37 to 38 weeks. So I will conclude that late preterm and early term babies are physiologically and metabolically immature. They have come too early. They have missed that 5 to 6 weeks of life in utero. They are still immature. They are very vulnerable. They have high risk of morbidity and mortality, and long-term health risks are there. And we need efforts to reduce this non-indicated early births. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for making time. We had a very elaborate lecture on management of late preterm and early term baby. The message is clear. We should avoid as far as possible late preterm and early term baby. And the number is very much, it's more than 70%. So we have a role in educating the obstetrician, the society in general for opting for this period, for providing delivery in this period. Thank you. Any question? Question for Dr. Vinod Kumar Singh.
And the mic though. नीचे mic दे दो.
So, I talked about partial parental nutrition. Maybe that in your resource limited place, you may not be able to give lipids. So at least you give amino acids. So that I said. So that is partial. Or the another thing is that some amount of the feed is being received by the enteral route, and the rest of amount is being used supplemented by the parental route. So that is a combination of some amount is parental and some amount is enteral. So, but the baby should get the adequate amount of feed. But if because of some reason, my topic was a resource limited place. So if you are failing to give lipids, at least you start amino acids. At least protein breakdown will not be there, and you will get certain benefit out of that. And my suggestion will be that every less than 1000 grammer, the day you receive in your NICU, you put a UVC line or you put a PIC line. So at least if UVC line 7 to 10 days you are free, that you have got an IVSS, you can give parental nutrition. And by PIC line also you are 3 to 4 weeks, you can keep it safely and you can practice this parental nutrition. So that I mean to say.
Like in the same bottle, we have to prepare any special precautions for that.
So the one thing I will say is that you do not be afraid of giving total parental nutrition or parental nutrition. The one thing that in these European books and in the Western books, a lot of complex things have been written about the total parental nutrition. You read an Indian book, an Indian author, and you practice it. Only a clean place is required. If I can practice total parental nutrition in Patna, Bihar, I think anywhere in India it can be practiced. And the day for last 4 or 5 years I have started it, and the mortality has, the recovery in less than 1000 grammer has increased like anything. You can't think of surviving a baby of less than 1000 gram without giving this parental nutrition. वो 1000 ग्राम से नीचे वाला बनने को नहीं है. No, you use a Y connector, and at the place of delivery it can be mixed, no problem. But you have a different burette, means आप pediatrics से इस्तेमाल कर रहे हो या फिर infusion pump से इस्तेमाल करते हैं, syringe pump से, तो you use different infusion pumps for this lipid and different from glucose and amino acid. And with the Y connector it can be given at the place of delivery. So no problem. अगर मान लो कि UVC line में अगर mix होता है तो फर्क नहीं पड़ता है.
Sir, can this partial parental nutrition, that is amino acids, be given by peripheral line also?
Yes, you can do it. So through peripheral line also you can give this parental nutrition. If you are thinking of giving parental nutrition in any baby you are receiving in your NICU, put a PIC line on the day 1 or UVC on day 1. After 3-4 days it will be difficult to put the UVC line, but because most of the time it goes either left side or right side. But on day 1 it goes straight and it goes just confirm its position by doing X-ray and see whether it is just above the right dome of the diaphragm or not, and then you give it.
Thank you.
Sir, just sir, how safe we pediatricians are in transferring the more than 1800 grammer babies to the mother, considering the poverty and illiteracy of the family? How safe we pediatricians are?
Well, if the baby is stable, feeding, cup feeding is going on well, baby is able to maintain temperature, baby is well clothed, and you are able to monitor the baby. There is no problem at all. In fact, so there would you keep if you do not transmit to the mother in the nursery. Your nursery will be overcrowded. What are the problems will be here? So this is a very justified cut-off limit. Above 1800 grams, these babies stay with their mother. They get breastfeeding, KMC, temperature monitoring, and of course you have to see them frequently because they can have complications the first few days of life.
I think you should shift baby to mother inside hospital for at least 2 to 3 days, and when she develop confidence, then you advise to go to home.